Okay, the Indian team has won the series versus England against some tough opposition. Remember, India were trailing 1-0 from there to win without some of their first choice players. Tells you what a great effort it has been from Rohit Sharma and co. And such has been the series that we've been occupied with, session by session ups and downs, that we've not been able to look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that India have won the series. It's taken time to sink in. But now that we know they have, let's look back at the performances we've seen in the 4 test matches so far. And joining us is our very own in-house expert, Mr. Sunil Gavaskar, former captain and a legend of Indian cricket. Saibhai, firstly, just break it down for us. What do you think is the significance of this series win, especially when one considers there was no Virat Kohli, informed KL Rahul was injured, India rested Jasprit Bumrah in this particular test match, Mohammad Shami was out of action. What does this series win mean to Indian cricket?
Well, the significance is, the old saying applies that nobody is indispensable, and that as long as you have a big game, then even if you don't have a big name, you can still do wonders, and you've got to be hungry for success. This young Indian team has shown a hunger for success. I mean, when you look at the guys who have put their hand up, it's been all the youngsters. There's Dhruv Jurel, of course, who's been the hero this time around. There's Kuldeep Yadav, who's been in and out of the Indian team. He's not a young man, but in terms of experience, he's pretty young. Then you look at Shubman Gill again, somebody who's very young. So clearly, I think look at AajTak, who's made his debut in this game. You see the names, and you'll find that they've all been pretty young as far as experience is concerned. But they have shown that they've got a big heart, a big game, and so that's the reason why this Indian team has come up trumps.
That's brilliantly put, Saibhai, the way you mentioned, it's the country that comes first. Sometime even without big names, this young team can really do it, and that's exactly how this performance has turned out for the Indian team. Talking about the youngsters doing well, the name that comes to my mind is that of Dhruv Jurel, the man of the match, 90 in the first innings and a fighting knock in the second innings. I heard you in commentary comparing Dhruv Jurel to an MS Dhoni. So what were the qualities that you've noticed in a Dhruv Jurel to accord him such high praise?
Well, I said he looks like another Dhoni in the making. You see, look, nobody can be a Dhoni. There can only be one Dhoni. There's no other Dhoni. But the way he reads the game, the way he read the situation when he was batting with, say, Kuldeep Yadav, the way he shepherded AajTak and had that partnership, all those little partnerships with Kuldeep Yadav, it was not only partnership, it was, taking time, which thwarts the opposition, makes them feel impatient, makes them feel restless. The way he did that, the way he attacked when needed, the way he was pushing singles. Then, of course, in the first innings that run out as well, where the way he gathered the ball, that is so typical Dhoni, gathering the ball and then getting rid of the bails to get the run out. Then, of course, that catch towards the end of Jimmy Anderson, when Jimmy Anderson went for a reverse sweep and then it came back and hit that, and the reflexes for that all reminds one of the young Dhoni. When Dhoni was like that, Dhoni was also had this quality of being able to think on his feet. And in the second innings as well, he came on a hat trick. India were 5 down. It was still a long way to go. And the way he kept his cool, cool in the company of Shubman Gill. And both these youngsters took India home. So that's the reason he looks like, another Dhoni. Obviously, there will never be another Dhoni. But if Jurel can even be somewhere close to Dhoni, he'll have a wonderful career for India.
Interesting, Saibhai, you talk about the temperament of Dhruv Jurel. I want you to, throw some light on the technical aspect of Dhruv Jurel as well. He looks very compact, technically spot on in his batting. When was the last time you saw an Indian wicketkeeper batter look so good technically, as if, he's made for Test cricket?
I can't remember. I mean, you have KL Rahul, of course, but KL Rahul came into the team mainly as a batter, not as a wicketkeeper. The wicket-keeping aspect came a little bit later. But Dhruv Jurel is a wicket-keeper bat, and with very little experience of first-class cricket. I think he's played 15 first-class games in the previous game. The previous test was his first test match, so 16 uh, red ball games. So his technique looks very good because he gets when he's playing the quick bowlers as well. The way he plays close to the body, soft hands, and for somebody who's been brought up on a diet of IPL cricket, T20 cricket, to be able to change that mindset, to be able to change that bat speed, it really tells of somebody who's a good thinker of the game.
Okay, let's turn our attention now to another youngster, Shubman Gill. Youngster because he still played 20 odd test matches. You knew that he had a lot of talent. You've spoken about much before making his debut as well. But a lot of time people thought that he wasn't doing justice to that talent, especially in test cricket. Now in this particular series, he's played three that I can think of, three very good knocks. Would it then be fair to say that this is the series that marks the coming of age of Shubman Gill?
Yes, I think in a way you can say that his early performances, not just this, but when he started his international career, his performances were so good that everybody's expectations went high, and when that happens, suddenly you get a couple of low scores that people start questioning, and to come out of that, the questions that people generally ask, so that you start doubting yourself. Then to come up with those two innings that he did, and particularly the innings that he played today, when it was not easy because the field setting of Ben Stokes was outstanding. The bowling changes that he made, everything made it look as if India was not chasing 192, but it was almost like India was chasing about maybe 150 odd runs more. So to keep his cool also speaks very highly of his temperament. I've always said that it's temperament that separates the men from the boys, and our youngsters are becoming men, and that's such a heartening aspect as far as Indian cricket is concerned.
Okay, from the Indian team, Saima, let's turn our attention now to the English team. The one word that was spoken a lot before this series started was baseball. Baseball can be defined differently, but one thing that you knew about baseball, no matter by which name you call, was aggression showed by the English team. So one of the major areas of baseball, or what made baseball very different, was the English team were aggressive no matter what. Now that's one approach that we saw this English team give up on in Ranchi. There was no aggressive approach in terms of their batting, and I think it was best illustrated by someone like a Joe Root batting like the Joe Root of old. So clearly baseball was out in this test match, irrespective of what the English camp might say. My question to you is, did the England team in this current Indian team led by Rohit Sharma meet their Waterloo, or did baseball meet their Waterloo in this current Indian team?
Depends on the opposition. Clearly, yes. So you could say that the battling against this Indian team on Indian pitches with the Indian spinners and the Indian new ball bowlers, don't forget. Look at the wickets that Bumrah has taken. Look at the wickets that Siraj had taken in the previous game. So clearly, it's been a mix. It's not been that it's been just all seam attack or all spin attack. For them to understand the situation, that they can't just go on attacking. They can't be playing just T20 kind of cricket, looking to attack every ball. I think that they understood very, very clearly, because the pitches also need to be such that the ball will come onto the bat. The guile that our spinners had, Jadeja picking 5 wickets in the previous game, Ashwin picking 5 wickets here, then Kuldeep Yadav bowling the way he did. Clearly, yes, I think they realized very quickly that the way of trying to smash just about every other ball for a boundary or a six was not going to work in India.
Okay, since we are talking about that aggressive approach, that shot by Joe Root, even though it came in the test match prior to this, that reverse scoop of his, was it the turning point of the series then?
You could say that, because at that particular point of time, England were in the driver's seat. They had lost 2 wickets, and they were chasing 440 all right that India had put up. But if he hadn't got out that way, who knows? They might have come closer to the total. They might have got to maybe 400. They might have even overtaken if Root had played the kind of innings that he played here in Ranchi. where he got a nice, well-composed, proper Test match century, then who knows that they might have got closer to the Indian total, even overhauled it in the previous game in Rajkot, and then things could have been different. So yes, I think you could say I think Root's shot was probably the turning point in the series.
One other youngster, Sunny Bhai, hasn't had a great time in this series, batting at number 4, Rajat Patidar. What do you think is Patidar's immediate Test future? I'm not talking about a long-term future. You never know what happens going forward. But the immediate Test future of Rajat Patidar, what do you make of that?
Well, he's had a rough start. He in the first innings that he played in Test cricket, he batted, with great composure to score 30-odd runs. It's not always the runs that you score; it's how you look out in the middle. And he looked very, very composed, very good. After that, he had a couple of soft dismissals, and then again today he wasn't able to put pressure. In fact, today when the innings started, and I was thinking that in case India lose 2 early wickets. Then I was thinking that maybe Patidar's the one who's going to play a defining innings, maybe 60 odd not out, 70 not out to take India home. But that didn't happen. So clearly, I think the pressure will be on him. But what we have seen of him in whatever format, he looks a good composed player. Or how the selectors look at him now is I'm not too sure, because thinking obviously differs. But I wouldn't give up on him. I would certainly want to give him another look.
Okay, fair point, Sai Bhai. Maybe, as you see it, you would still want to give him another chance. That is Rajat Patidar. There's a Test match coming up in Dharamshala. India has already won a series. Maybe you can give him that one chance and take a call on him once and for all. As Sai Bhai mentions, yes, has not had a great time, but did play really well in that first innings that he had. And now, at the moment, because you won the series, you can afford that luxury of giving him another go. Otherwise, you can also look at a Devdutt Padikkal that's waiting in the wings. Plus, we don't know whether KL Rahul will be back or not. But Saiva, now let's talk about the pitches, in this series. They've been different. We've got to agree. They've been very different to the pitches that we had begun to see in India the last 3-4 years. These ones are different in the sense these are batting friendly conditions that you can see. Batting friendly to begin with, and then it gets to turn on day 4, day 5. Do you think these kind of pitches suit this Indian team the best so that they can take the advantage of home conditions better than the ones that were being served the last 2-3 years, which many considered were rank turners?
Yes, I think these kind of pitches you've seen an even distribution of bat and ball. Yes, the ball has turned on day 1 as well, but it hasn't been an unplayable kind of pitch. I wouldn't say anything negative about the pitches that we've seen earlier on as well. Like I said, there are World Test Championship points at stake, and therefore you've got to do the best you can for your team. What you think for your team is what you've got to do. Excepting, I think, this business of others who act high and mighty and be condescending and say that every time things happen in their country, then of course it's a groundsman who's got it wrong. But while what happens in our country, there is a lot of chicanery and stuff, all kinds of stuff that is involved. That I think is totally uncalled for.
Okay, Saima, let me turn your attention now to what's happened right after the match got over. Rohit Sharma came for the press conference. He was asked about the performance of youngsters, and this is what he said, and I'm quoting him. He said, "Jinko Test cricket ki bhook nahi hai, unko khilane ka kya fayda?" He's not named anybody, but just said. So he said it's better to go with players who are hungry to perform in Test cricket rather than keep including players who are not interested in Test cricket. Who he is hinting at, your guess is as good as mine. But my question to you is, have you also come across now, or is it pretty evident that a lot of players, a lot of established players now in Indian cricket are just happy playing white ball cricket, IPL cricket, rather than go through the grind of Test cricket? Is that a reality in Indian cricket at the moment?
Well, there have been. It's not just a recent thing. It's been there for a long time, ever since ever since the IPL started. You've had players who have been more happy to play just the white ball format, because bowling, if you're a bowler, you bowl only 10 overs in a 50 overs game and only 4 overs in a T20 game. So the effort required is less. The commitment required is less. Similarly, with the batting, in white ball cricket, you don't always get conditions which are against the batter. There will be, you don't have to apply yourself. Do make all that effort to play a long innings. So a lot of batters also don't want to play the red ball game, don't have the technique or the temperament, and so if they're not keen to play Test cricket, then that is what I think Rohit was saying, that let's have guys who are hungry to play the long format of the game. And that's what I said at the start of the program as well. It doesn't matter. You must have a big heart and a big game to play for India. You don't necessarily need to have a big name.
So let me ask you, Saim, finally. So in a scenario like this, what do you make of, because now it's officially on record, the BCCI secretary has come out and said that Rahul Dravid and the chairman of selectors and Ajit Agarkar have made it very clear that they want players to play domestic cricket, only then should they be considered for the Indian team. What do you make of this diktat by the BCCI, and will it have the desired result?
Well, Ranji Trophy, yes, one can understand, because Ranji Trophy is the red ball format. And so if you're not playing red ball format, how will you be considered for the red ball test matches? So that is, I think, what this means as far as I'm concerned. If a player, like I said, if a player does not want to play red ball cricket, then he might just not want to play Ranji Trophy. So then I think you've got to respect his views. He might not tell you he doesn't want to play for India in Test cricket, but if he's not playing Ranji Trophy cricket, then clearly the indications are that he's wanting to restrict himself to the white ball game.
Okay, Saim, we'll leave it at that. I'm afraid that's all the time that we have with Mr. Gavaskar. But Saim, thank you so much for taking our time, speaking to us on Sports Today. And for all of you watching, do drop in a comment of what you made of our analysis with the legend in Sunil Gavaskar. Give us a like if you enjoyed our content. Share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today. Bye-bye for now.